one person mostly responsible for stuff.
Right.
So
Janelle, what
that's all I wanted to add, y'all.
No, okay. So one thing you all are gonna realize about me, I'm biased to a certain extent because I have a lot of good men in my life, so I'm always advocating for them, right? And so, Cannon, would you not agree that millennial dads are a lot more active in the household than our fathers?
No, they absolutely are, but it's still not enough. Like, it's, I mean, if the bar is in hell and then somebody like climb up out of hell a little bit, then I mean, I guess that's
that's fair. That is very fair.
It's just like when we have conversations about racism, right? And people be like, "But isn't it much better than it was before?" Yeah, we're not getting lynched every day.
Yeah, but we still have to acknowledge progress.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I think that's important, and I think that we also have to acknowledge the fact that as women, we have to be more vocal around what our expectations of that household. If I don't want to pick up the kids every day, I don't want to drop them off every day, I don't want to cook meals every day. And I think that sometimes as women,
then that's when you become the combative
woman mentality,
woman who's not
and
being
we have to stop that.
Well, I think but do you see what I'm saying? That's when you become the woman who's not the peace. You're the combative. Right. You're always a problem now. You see what I mean?
But see, that's the thing about marriage and partnership. Like it's a blue. You got to have a game plan. Like I said, that whole mentality that we're on the same team. So it's like team mentality works great at my house because it's just like, okay, like for instance, like right now, my husband's a mechanic. He flips a lot of cars this time of the year. Like he works a lot of long hours. So, you know, normally he would pick our daughter up after school, but then there's going to be some days and times where I'm going to have to pick her up now. And then there are going to be days and times where I'm not able to, you know, cook dinner like tonight, like Tuesday night. Like, you know, like I can't cook a full meal because I'm on a show. So it's like, okay, what can we do as a team to make sure everybody got dinner, right? And so everybody just and now we included my daughter in the conversation because that's how our family is. We're a team. We're here to take care of each other, not to kind of glorify, just like Kenny was saying, certain roles and responsibilities. Like our number one responsibility is to make sure the family's taken care of. So that might be me working, you know, on a Saturday, and it might be him popping a pizza in the oven and tossing the salad so we can have some dinner. You know, so I'm just saying.
Many men, but I sense from a lot of men. Well, I'm Janelle, I have to say I have witnessed men who are great, wonderful men too, right? But then I get into these spaces on social media and I see lots of other types of men too. And I'm hearing that a lot of men don't want to share those types of duties. You know, they want the woman to be what they call traditional, where they are the ones who are cooking and cleaning, and men are not necessarily trying to help, you know, put the dishes away and fold laundry. Now there are men who do, right? But I don't know if it's accurate to say that that's what they want to do. I think they would call that woman a modern woman.
But it doesn't matter. You have to. Do you all like washing dishes?
Sometimes it's therapeutic.
I like
sometimes. No, right?
No, I don't. Exactly. I do it, but I don't like to do it.
You want to do it or not? If you have to contribute to the household. Miss Jobo,
yeah, but Janelle, the problem is that they don't see it as their responsibility.
Exactly.
Is what I'm saying.
And that's why we're having these conversations. You have to see it as your responsibility to contribute to this household, period.
But that's what I'm saying. I think therein lies the disconnect or the whole topic of we saying like men was like that's not attractive to have a successful woman. That's when that comes into play.
Some men don't count, y'all. Don't count. The real men are not on social media. Let's just be honest.
That's true.
Real men don't have Facebook pages. No, they don't participate.
They have them, but they don't.
But that doesn't mean they don't still buy into the same rhetoric.
Yeah, that's kind of the
much love to those men. But there are men who think mopping every Saturday is contributing their half of the household. Mopping once a week is not half of the household, but we give them, he tried, and we give them a lot of leeway. But you know, it's come on
No,
now.
I really like that you pointed that out, Raven, and because what you brought up too, Janelle, where you said, "Isn't it getting better?" Which it is.
That's why I
I
made that
literally
face.
just
They
saw
want
an
to go back
article
to
the other
that.
day that I love that was pointing out how men now, like even when they're doing like like basic stuff that mothers do and juggle like every day, all day, like if they just take their kids to the store, everybody's like, "Oh my god, look at this dad! He has his baby!" Like they out there like, no, he's just taking care of his kid. Just like I'm taking, and I guess that's what I'm saying. I think that's where a lot of the resentment is coming in at, because one of the main things that I feel that I hear a lot of men tying their ego to, tying their worth to, right, and tying who they are as men to, are their ability to be providers, right? Like that's what they say makes them earn respect. That's why you have to shut up when they talk, because they are the providers, right? They coming in, they bringing in all the stuff, so you need to bow down to them. You need to, you know what I mean? Like because they're providing for you. They're creating this lifestyle for you, right? Like that's how they feel. That's what makes them men. So what's interesting to me is on the flip side, when the woman, like I say, is earning, either out earning or making just as much as you, then how do you continue to have that mindset? You see what I'm saying? Like what, like why doesn't she get respect? Why does she get resented for being successful while you get respect for being successful? Why does she get resented because she's providing for the household, but you get respect and you get the big piece of chicken, and we got to leave daddy over there in the quiet, don't mess with daddy, let him watch his shows because daddy been working hard all day. Don't nobody do that for mama. Mama go work hard all day and all that. She still got to come in the house. The kids gonna jump on her, and like that's what I mean. Like it's not equal. Like it's just we have to change that
Yeah, but
mindset. Like
I
we
hear
really
what you're
do.
saying. I hear what you're saying, but then,
Okay.
Hannah, I think the pushback from men would be, well, you guys asked for this. You asked for equality. You asked to
When
work.
But
have
it's
black
still
women
not
not worked?
equality. We
I'm trying
asked
to
to be
understand when
that
did black
that
women
did not
actually
mean
work?
okay,
When
I
did
want to
this
go out and
Wait,
happen?
what
work,
you
but then
say,
I'm still
missing
gonna carry the
understanding?
bulk of the labor in
When
the
did black
house.
women
That's
ask
not
to
what that
work?
means.
When black, as far as I have, as far as I know, black women were working right along with black men through slavery all the way
Yeah.
up to now. All this black women fought for equality. As far as I did my research to find out, all black women got equality on was being able to open a bank account, and that was in 1975. They need to hang that trope up. We have been working just like they've been working. All
Exactly.
this,
Yeah.
I
That's
don't care. We should have
that's
the
true.
luxury. No. Mm-mm.
What's
The
up,
funny,
ladies?
the,
Hey,
hey,
hey.
Hey,
hey,
happy anniversary!
Thank you. How y'all doing?
We're
great.
Y'all
good.
doing a great job.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We
I
missed
just wanted to
y'all.
add one thing, a couple of things actually. So I wanted to like break it down. I saw some men talking the other day online about how the women responsibility is like 80-20 the woman's way. They do 80% of the work and the men do 20% of the work. And so as things is getting better, if you look at it just the numbers wise, right? Let's say if we supposed to be sharing the responsibility 50-50, and if the women are doing 80% of the work and the men have been doing 20% of the work, and then the man steps up and start taking the kid to school or cooking or something. So let's just say that's like another 10%. So now he's doing 30% of the work and you're still doing 70% of the work. So although things are getting better, it's still unequal. And you're still going to be tired and more stressed out and and having all these emotions that men don't like oh she's always nagging, she's always stressful, she's always tired. So it is getting better, but just because you threw me a bone doesn't mean you just took a load off my back. Once men start realizing that we have to meet you 50-50, and that way we will have some things to gripe about when things aren't going our way. But as long as y'all doing the bulk of the work, we shouldn't be saying nothing. And I think a lot of men don't realize y'all doing a bulk of the work because they never done the work that y'all are doing to even say like, oh, she having a hard time. So it wasn't until I started doing all that work to say, oh man, raising the kid, cooking and cleaning, picking up my daughter from school, going to doctor appointments, going to teacher meetings, that's a lot of work. And a lot of men don't do it. So of course they go think that you're not doing anything because they don't know. And until they start
Yeah.
doing it, until women start holding them accountable and actually making them do it or pressuring them to do it or however they need to get them to do it, they will never know. So they're going to keep saying these things like, oh, things are getting better, or all she do is complain. This is not complaining. This is real life. This is what you need to do. You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's all I want to say, though.
Thank you.
That's why I started asking, do you do baseboards? I don't care if you mop. Do you do baseboards? If you don't do baseboards, you don't clean.
Yeah, I don't do baseboards.
Yeah, but we gonna go
what
ahead
them
and hop
kids
off,
for.
y'all, though. But thank you for letting us hop on.
Yeah.
We're gonna get back to it. But y'all doing a good job.
Y'all have fun.
Happy anniversary.
Good conversation. We gonna keep listening in, though.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
No,
we really
No,
do
I
have
wanted to
move
point
on.
out one more thing,
Go
Ashley.
ahead.
The funny part is my great grandma, who I talk about a lot, my big mama, God rest her soul, lived to be 106 years old, was the traditional wife. She worked as a laborer, a maid. She was working right alongside her husband until he passed away. And like, I think my great granddad passed away 5-6 years before I was born. Like, I think she said 75. It's funny how these guys get on the internet and they talk about how we need to be like Big Mama and them. But my great grandmother was the one that pushed all of us to further our education, to get out of the house, go to college, see the world, you know, but also get education, but also be open to knowledge and wisdom about life, you know. And she would be the first person to tell you, you can do all of that and still have the man of, you know, your choice. You can still be married and have children. And I just wanted to point it out because one of their arguments is y'all need to go back to being like grandmama and auntie and them. And my great grandmother, you know, she'll say in a heartbeat, if I had the opportunity and choices that y'all had, I would have took them, but I didn't have those. Exactly. So that's why they pushed us. So this whole argument about how old school versus new school as well, I think we have to look at that too, because that's an argument that they use. And we need to debunk that, because if you ask any elderly woman in your family,
yep,
they're going to be pro-education, pro-success. They're not going to tell you to minimize yourself. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
I think that speaks to exactly what Cannon was just talking about with emotional labor, because not just the movie Soul Food, but a lot of families talk about when Big Mom passes, the whole family shoots the shit. That is not because we lost an income. That's because we lost an emotional pillar in our family. So we can say all day, oh, well, I bring in the paycheck, so that's 50-50. There is a whole nother realm that holds family together more than just a paycheck. And instead of acknowledging that and creating a space for women to be big mama, women, I know it's gender roles, but I've met a lot of women. Women want to be nurturing for the most part. We want to love and, you know, cater to people. But if we don't have an environment to do that and we have to be the go-getters and, you know, chopping trees down at the same time, it's impossible. But no, I just like what you said about Big Mom, because I think that's a part of emotional labor that just gets bypassed all the time.
Mm-hmm. And who want to nurture after you done chop trees? I'm just saying, who want to nurture?
That's my point. You know,
I'm exhausted.
Did the best she could. She was tired too.
Yeah.
Interesting, you all. Go ahead, Janelle. You want to close us out?
No, you said that your great grandmother was traditional, but I thought traditional marriage was the woman stays at home and the husband goes to work.
That's white traditional. Black traditional. Yeah, and it's the difference. See, black traditional, because see, that's the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm from Georgia. Okay, not Georgia, but Georgia, South Georgia. Okay. I don't know. We had women in the factories alongside the men. We still do. At community where I was raised, the women in the classroom, but there are just as many as men. I've always seen men and women work side by side. But then when it came to traditional gender roles, when my aunt got off of work, she don't work that 12 hours at the factory. She still had to go home and cook. She still had to go home and feed the kids.
So why would we want to sign up for that?
Ask the guys that perpetuate that. Exactly. Because the women in my family, they like, look, go to school, get you a great job, find you a partner in life, okay? Climb higher than what we climb. Because see, for a lot of them too, when you talk about the Black community, maintaining a husband and a children for a length of time, that was a goal within itself.
Absolutely.
Because you had these broken homes that they don't want to talk about that did happen back in the day, okay? The Temptations wrote a song about it. Papa was a rolling stone.
Yes.
Wherever he laid his hat was his home. Where
And
it
if you
came
read
from?
a lot of novels, if you read
Yeah.
novels written during those times, it happened. And men, you know, and I'm not trying to bash the brothers, because there are some
Right.
wonderful fathers, right?
Mhm.
And now the men who weren't raised with their fathers are becoming great fathers, right? But there was a period of time, for various reasons, where, you
Mhm.
know, men were not in the homes, and it's not, it happened in the 20s, the 30s, the
Yep.
40s. You know, I was fortunate to have my grandfather, and I didn't know my great grandfather, but I've heard many things about him. And, you know, but it's just real. And I think that people, you know, when we talk about tradition, you know, there's a myth of tradition versus what it really was.
Exactly.
And I'm happy that you brought that up,
Mhm.
Jobo, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of men in these spaces think traditional is a woman staying home, cooking, cleaning, washing laundry, you know, taking care of the
That wasn't our
home,
tradition.
when that
Right.
wasn't tradition.
Okay.
And another
With
thing that they
June
think
Cleaver
is
versus
tradition.
Florida Evans, two different women. Florida had to go to work.
I feel like I
Florida
should
went to work.
well, I grew up in a household where, you know, my parents, I've said this before, my parents had us when they were in high school. So we grew up in a household where my grandmother didn't work. My grandfather took care of all 12 of us in that same house. He took care of all of us on his paycheck. So when people say traditional life or traditional wife, this was something I grew up seeing, where my grandmother cooked for us. She was there for everybody to get home from school. It was just, you know, a big, like Kenan said before, an extended family. It was a big village kind of set up. It was like literally 12 of us in a 5-bedroom house.
Right.
You know, but this was the setup, you know, the men worked, the women did not, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's how it was in my home too. My mom didn't work. She, you know, until, you know, she didn't work. Her husband, my grandfather, it's so weird to say this. I was raised by my grandmother, but I call her my mother. So she, you know, so she didn't work, right? And so she was there. She was home to be that nurturing mom. Like, she knew everything that was going on with us. We had 3-course meals and
Right.
like, you know, and so I think that's what people think when they think tradition. But the truth of the matter is that that's everybody.
That's unique.
Yeah.
And see, my whole neighborhood was like that. Like, it was my whole neighborhood that I grew up on up until I was like 13, and we ended up moving to Tennessee. Everybody kind of had the same setup. It was the men would pull off to go to work. The women would be walking up and down the street being nosy, planning fish fries, all these things, you know, the emotional labor. But the men got home from work, and it was like clockwork. The street lights came on, all the kids ran into the house, we all ate dinner, but we knew the women had cooked it, the men got home from work, and it was the same setup. So it wasn't honestly until I got off to Memphis and I found out that this was not the reality that everybody was living. Oh my God.
I tell people all the time, I had to learn how to be a wife. I had to learn. I was married for a long time, and now, like, I'm learning how to be a wife. Like,
let me tell you, growing up in my household, my mom gave me a pair of strappy sandals at 15 and was like, you need to clean the whole house, because that way you can figure out how to keep a house clean and walk around in heels. After cleaning that whole, when I tell you, I was scrubbing toilets in little sandals, but I learned how to walk in heels. No. The kicker is, at the end, she was like, all right, now strut the hallway and pretend your feet don't hurt. What? When I say I learned that weekend how to walk in heels and how to keep a clean house, it was crazy. But I thought that's how everybody grew up. Lord, I went to Memphis. They gave me a culture shock. They didn't play with me. Woo, they didn't play with me.
All right, y'all. So that was a good conversation. As usual, there are many layers and different nuances, and I feel like, you know, we couldn't wrap it up and put a nice little bow on it. But, you know, sometimes it's just how conversations are. And hopefully somebody said something that stuck with someone else, or, you know, helped a little light bulb go off. And made a difference, you know. But let's go ahead and move on. I want to say welcome to the ladies' room. For those of you who are just tuning